Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 7th webinar in the Meet Melbourne 2020 online series, which is tonight covering the Bachelor of Fine Arts. So this series of events is running across May, covering all of the bachelor degrees at the University of Melbourne. My name is Cody Moore. I am the Senior Marketing Coordinator of Recruitment for the Faculty of Fine Arts and Music, which looks after this Bachelor of Fine Arts. But before we go any further, I would like to offer an acknowledgement to the Indigenous people who are the traditional custodians of the various lands from which we all meet today. I would like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and welcome any Indigenous attendees today. My home, where I'm talking to you from today, is on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and the South Bank campus, where our Bachelor of Fine Arts is based, is on the land of the Boonwurrung people. And this is a place where we regularly acknowledge that people have met to dance their dances, make their art and tell their stories for thousands of years. And we humbly continue that tradition today. Now, I should mention that this session is being recorded and it can be accessed afterwards if you would like to review or to share it. So the way that the schedule is going to work this evening is that I'll give an overview of the Bachelor of Fine Arts first. Then we're going to hear from Tyron Park, who is the head of music theatre. Then we've got three fabulous students who've got a chance to tell you a bit about their experience as a student in the various streams of the Bachelor of Fine Arts. And we will have a little bit of time for questions at the end as well. Now, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat window here in the webinar, and they will be read and responded to by colleagues from our Melbourne team off the screen while the webinar is going on. So we've just got 45 minutes to go through as much information as we can. So they will be answering your questions in the chat while this is going on. But any questions that are not answered during this time can be submitted through our study website after the webinar. So I can remind you of that again at the end. And I know there certainly were a few questions submitted with your registration, so we'll try and answer as many of those as we go through as well. So let's get started. So this is Meet Melbourne 2020 Fine Arts. So welcome everybody. So why should you be considering fine arts at Melbourne? I think one of the main things that really draws people to what it is that we do is the location. So we're actually based at the South Bank campus of the University of Melbourne, which is this beautiful boutique campus right in the heart of the cultural precinct of Melbourne. So just south of the Yarra River, next to the Arts Centre, surrounded by all sorts of amazing arts places. We're right next to the National Gallery of Victoria, the Melbourne Recital Centre, the Melbourne Theatre Company, just across the bridge from Fed Square with the Australian Centre of Moving Images, or ACME. We have connections with Chunky Move Dance, the Australian Ballet. There's all sorts of fabulous partners and opportunities for our students to be working with these beautiful industry bodies. We are the only place in Australia that trains this number of artistic disciplines on the one campus. And it's that opportunity for all of the different disciplines to be on the campus at once, where they can actually collaborate together. So we do have small classes. They are intensive studio-based learning. So this means that the students get lots of practical intensive time with their teachers. So these are often classes where they have to be full-time or many hours a week. So students are studying long days, getting that practical intensive training. We have highly skilled and renowned staff in all of the disciplines. Some of Melbourne's most respected practicing artists working within the faculty and teaching in these different disciplines. One of the key parts of the way that we deliver these courses is that we offer regular public performances. This has obviously been difficult this year, but we've had some amazingly innovative staff and students coming up with ways for our students to still be practicing their skills and offering performances. But when we are on campus, we have over 300 performances, events, exhibitions, opportunities for the public to come in and see what our students can do, and our students to really show their skill in a professional setting as well. We also, drawing on that link with the academic staff who are part of the industry. We often have their colleagues coming in to offer masterclasses. These could be Australian or international artists, directors, filmmakers, choreographers, and performers. So the Bachelor of Fine Arts is a 3-year full-time degree. It is actually offered over 9 distinct specializations. So they can be grouped into a few similar areas. We have acting and theatre. In the film and television area, we have animation, screenwriting, and film and TV. We have dance, music theatre. We have design and production, which will be moving into being called production next year, where the students learn costuming, lighting, set design, and actually work with the dancers, the music theatre students, the actors, to actually help them with all of the pieces that they need to be able to put on their performances. So it's that collaboration across the campus. And obviously we also have visual art, which is offered in a variety of streams. So we'll hear from a visual art student later on about her experience in that. All of these 9 different specializations are offered in very small cohorts because of the practical nature of the course. So those facilities at the South Bank campus are purpose-built to give students this practical hands-on experience. Now, the entry requirements for each of these 9 disciplines vary, but they are all talent-based. So while we do have successful completion of Year 12 as a requirement and certain English requirements, what we're really looking for is talent in students. So for something like acting or dance or music theatre, it's audition-based. So the various streams, the students will have to prepare pieces, songs, monologues, and come along for those auditions. We are looking at how they will be run this year. I know that's one of the questions that students have. If they have to be online, they will be, but we haven't made those decisions yet. So the best thing to do is to check the website as the year goes on. The things in the film and television area around animation, film and TV, screenwriting, then students will show an example of their work and come along to an interview to talk about their passion for the industry, their knowledge of the industry, and where it is they see themselves going, while showing some of the work that they've already done. That same goes for visual art as well. All of these that involve an interview, the staff are really, really personable. They're really there to have a chat to you and to really bring the best out in you, to see what it is that that you think you could offer by being part of the course, and where it is you see yourself going within the industry. So for all of these, the biggest tip that I could give anyone who's thinking of applying is to really research the industry. Have a look at who is doing something that you think is really interesting. Practice, rehearse, ask questions. Make sure that you are as prepared as you can possibly be when the time rolls around to actually go ahead and apply for these courses. And it is really common for all of the streams that we have for people to apply more than once. They can only apply once in each application round, but people do apply for 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row before they are accepted sometimes. Not everybody, there are people who get in first time, but it's not uncommon for people to apply multiple times. So I know that's a question that we do get quite frequently. We've got a really great page on the website that is specifically for auditions and interviews and goes into detail in each of these different areas about the different things that you would need to do to prepare. So I highly recommend having a look at that, which you can click through from each of the courses on the website. So it's really quite exciting for us that in 2021, we're actually bringing in some new curriculum for all of the streams of the Bachelor of Fine Arts, and that is to incorporate breadth. So this is something that we haven't done previously, but following lots of consultation, we've decided that is the best thing for the students to be building a course that really encompasses all of their different academic interests and helps them work towards the career outcomes they're most interested in. So what this means, a breadth subject is like an elective that could be picked up from across the university. So in a couple of slides, I'll show you some examples of the types of breadth that students would pick up. But what you can see from this sample plan, which is a film and television sample course plan for a first year student, is that we do have majority of the course based on the discipline that you are studying, that you are most interested in. It is quite immersive still. So it is that immersive practical study with the opportunity for students to then pick up another subject in an area that they're interested in. So you can see in first year, these students would be doing just 3 subjects in first semester, but that screen practice is worth 25 points. So that's a double subject. So that's where most of the focus would be. 1 subject around screenwriting, and then 1 subject that the students can choose from a list of breadth subjects that would fit into their schedule that they might be interested in doing. Students could also do these breadth subjects as intensive summer or winter subjects, which gives them some flexibility in their course throughout the years that they're studying. So this is an example of some of the different breadth studies that students might take up. So if we continue on that example of film and television, you can see that students might pick up things like sociology or climate change, and this gives them the opportunity to really explore different areas that they're very interested in. I think it works particularly well for film and television, where the students coming in do have a story to tell. They have something that they're really excited about sharing with the audience. And so being able to delve into these different areas and then create a TV show or a documentary about this area of passion, I think breadth works particularly well for them. But you can see for all of the different disciplines that there are some suggested breadth tracks that might fit really well that students might be interested in. It could be subjects that students pick up for fun. And the other thing that's interesting is with breadth that the students could actually pick up some elective subjects from within the faculty. So it could be a screenwriting student who's actually picking up some visual arts subjects, or an animation student who chooses to do a dance subject. So there's lots of range for students to really build the course that they're most interested in. So that is a brief overview of the Bachelor of Fine Arts. We might move on now to meet some of the people who are involved in teaching and studying the Bachelor of Fine Arts at the South Bank campus. So first up, I would like to introduce Tyron Park. He is the head of music theatre. He's been working with us since the start of 2019. Tyron is a world-class actor, singer, writer and director in his own right, but most excitingly, he is a really passionate teacher as well. So welcome, Tyron.
Thanks, Cody. Hi, everyone. Feels very strange to be talking to my computer, but going out to so many of you. But it's a world we're slowly kind of getting used to somehow. I just wanted to talk, Cody asked me to talk a bit about music theatre, and I was a bit aware that I could spend all night talking about music theatre. I am madly passionate about music theatre. And it's interesting that the course is called music theatre, not musical theatre. Because I'm interested in so many elements of theatre and music as well, and it's part of what makes the course so unique. I guess one of the things I wanted to pick up on was something that Cody's shared at the start about, you know, there are a few places you can study music theatre now in Australia, all fantastic, but there's something very special about being inside of this arts hub. And it's not just that we get to go past wonderful, you know, marquees and stage doors, but it's actually that we have connection to all of those people. So I myself am a theatre director. So I work in music theatre and I direct main stage musicals each year. And I make sure that our students have access to the cast, to the creatives, and to visiting people as well. And so if you think about us being right in the middle of that, how that serves us is, for instance, in third year, at the moment you have audition technique. And when you might get the brief for, let's say it's South Pacific, and you go into an audition with the people who directed and musically directed South Pacific, and they give you feedback, which is always the thing that you don't get in an audition. And you always think, I wonder how it went. And not only nationally, but also internationally. And one of the things that's been interesting in this new world of using it as a real opportunity. And so our students are auditioning in a few weeks' time for the musical A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. and the panel is the Broadway panel, the people who created it, because we can do that on Zoom. So there's some really exciting opportunities because of where we're placed, and I think we take real advantage of that because we're in proximity with so many great arts organizations. I guess, you know, the fact that I'm in the industry, that I'm crazy passionate about the industry, that I've spent my life in it, and I really want for our students to get a sense of what's possible in music theatre. And music theatre keeps changing, and I suspect it will change again after this period of time as well. You know, for me, I've been forced to really consider, aside from obviously we train you to sing, act and dance. So there's 3 disciplines that we train you in equally, and we train you for a career in the arts. But obviously we also acknowledge that over time, it may look a little different from what you first set out to do. So once you've been in Aladdin and Frozen and all those wonderful shows, you know, things might start to shift a little bit. And we always say that we talk about people who come into VCA as being unfinished artists in motion. So we just start a process that is really an inquiry into your life and how to tell stories. And one of the things I'm aware of at the moment is that during this period of time, a lot of the theatres aren't there at the moment. And so that's really strange for us. However, I know that for a lot of our graduates, they are so much better off because the training in music theatre has taught them how to communicate well, how to have empathy, how to have resilience, and you know, all of those things are actually life skills. So you know, music theatre can look quite narrow. It can look like, if I get into this show, I've made it. But I tend to think of music theatre as being much broader than that, and certainly it's the thing that I encourage in our students is to find who they are in storytelling, and they do that through music. And so it's a wonderful way to spend 3 years, particularly in Melbourne. The first year is very much about your instrument, so who you are. So how your instrument being your instrument and your instrument and your instrument. So I always refer to it in 3 ways, but who you are inside of music theatre. I don't really need to know who sounds most like somebody else from America. I want to know who you are. And that's something that we look for in our auditions as well. We have an idea of where music theatre is going, but ultimately it's going to be shaped by you. And so I want to know who you are and what you're up for and where your passion is. We can teach you the skills, but I always am after people with a monstrous hunger to tell stories, because that's the stuff that is so much fun. And I guess, you know, the first year being about your instrument and you inside of the given circumstances of song and music. The second year is very much about style and character and playing a range of characters that you may not think you were necessarily made for. So we stretch that identity out a bit. And third year is very much about industry-based productions, about connection through like the class I just mentioned on audition technique. You get the most extraordinary list of people coming through and working because we're in Melbourne, because we have those contacts, because we're part of the industry. Everybody who works at VCA in music theatre goes off and does productions. So that just keeps feeding back and keeps feeding back our. I have a little rule that when I do professional shows, I've always got a VCA graduate in there. And because they're the people I love working with, they're the reason I came to VCA. I taught at all the drama schools. They're all wonderful. But having taught at all of them, I went, I need to go to VCA to work out what is really special about them. And it's taken me a while to work it out, that it is about empowering them to tell their stories. And I think, you know, the thing I wanted, you know, I'm really proud at the moment that even during this period, we've created some amazing experiences for our students that are about, you know, finding ways that they would never have found if we were on campus together. Of course, we look forward to going back, but in the meantime, we've managed to bring a whole bunch of international people in. We're very passionate about diversity in our course. And so right now there's an amazing program going on where people of colour for the first time really get to engage with other people of colour from around the world in set texts and culturally specific experiences and musical experiences like rap music and Argentine tango. Suddenly the world has kind of opened up in a way, even though it's closed down. And that's one of the wonderful things about teaching at VCA is we're always looking at what we can do and how we can create the next opportunity for our students. And I feel really proud that even in this moment, we're able to offer extra things. Always throughout the whole thing, it is, you know, singing, acting, and dancing, all very equal, but underpinning everything is the ability to tell stories, and that's what we're really passionate about. We not only work on campus, but we work at the Arts Centre. Each year we go over and do a morning melodies over there. So suddenly our students are working in front of 3,000 people. Just every, you know, mostly we're in studios with, you know, our performances are 150, but we also want to spread to that, you know, music theatre style and embrace that. So we have a real range of performance opportunities, and that continues to grow as we're moving into this new degree. And really proud of our staff, who are all very much passionate and engaged about music theatre and wanting to tell stories. It is, as Cody said, a challenging degree to get into. We do get a lot of applicants. I myself tried many times to get into drama school, and I eventually went. But the hard thing for me to realise was that actually they were right. When they finally took me, they were right. Even though I didn't want it at the time and I wanted it to be on my terms, it was the right time for me to go to get the most out of the training. And so we really just look for when you will get the most out of it, when it will serve you the best, and when we can work together in that way that after 3 very short years, you come out ready to go into the industry. So I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you out there who are interested in music theatre, and whether that be, you know, however we go. It's interesting, you know, we are sitting in a world of unknown, but as artists, we always do. We always have one foot in unknown, and so we're used to that, and we're used to kind of finding some resolve around that. And even as we talk about auditions, right now we have a plan that might change. I would get less stuck on what does it look like and more engaged in how do I tell the story, because that's what we're looking at. No matter whatever context that is in, no matter what platform we're using, we're after storytellers. So if that's your measure of success, I think we're going to have a very good time. How's that sound,
Tyron, that was perfect. Great, thank you. And I'd just like to say to the audience that while Tyron was speaking about music theatre, we wish we had enough time for staff and students from all 9 disciplines to be speaking. What Tyron was saying was relevant for all of the performing arts streams. So that connection to industry, those opportunities, that passion, the application and audition process, that is relevant for all of that: acting, theatre, dance, music theatre. So if you're interested in one of those other streams and listening to this, then it's absolutely relevant as well. And it is absolutely possible, if you are interested in more than one of those streams, to be applying for multiple streams as well. So you're welcome to keep that in mind. What we might do now, thank you, Tyron, is actually introduce one of our students. We're going to have a chat now to Sam Needham. Sam is a 3rd year acting student. This is actually Sam's 2nd degree. And his 1st degree was in theoretical physics, I think, something totally different. So Sam's going to talk just a little bit about his experience as a student in fine arts acting.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. A bit of an about change from science to acting, but yeah, ever since I was a teenager, I've always I think known that acting is what I wanted to do. Tyron's said a bunch of things that do really transfer well across to the acting course, which is great. It's cut down on the amount of stuff I have to say. But I didn't get in my first time either. I auditioned years and years ago, and I went and I brought what I thought was this, you know, brilliant, huge performance that would showcase what incredible range I have. And the panels spoke to me afterwards and said, just don't do that. Don't prove to us how incredible you are. You know, bring the kind of work that you want to do, and work with us for a bit. And then, you know, if we want to work together, and if that, you know, kind of work can be taken forward by us as a cohort, then, you know, this is the place for me. And if it's not, that's fine. And so the next year I came back and actually, thought about what kind of art I want to make and what kind of stories I want to tell. And I brought that to the panel and showed them, and it just so happened that we lined up and worked well together. So that's my biggest advice, actually, for anyone who is nervous about auditioning is don't treat it like they're testing you. Don't treat it like you have to prove how good you are or that you prove a certain mark. Treat it like it's work, because it really is. And go in and show them the kind of work that you want to do, and show them the kind of art that you want to make. I've been really surprised by acting school. To be honest, I've always kind of loved making art, but I've never really, before VCA, known how to do that. It's sort of just been guessing and see what feels good. And the biggest thing I've got out of VCA, and the big surprise I've sort of had is how, I don't know, how technical art can be, and how you can take the guesswork out of the craft and still create something so wonderfully beautiful and expressive, and bring consistency to your work, and also develop a shared language. I was a little worried going into acting school that 3 years in an institution would deprive me of access to networks and contacts and people you'd meet if you just started going out and working as an actor or an independent artist. But that has not been the case largely. On our productions, like Tyron mentioned, I've worked with 4 or 5 external directors from Melbourne now as part of my VCA training. Actors come in and work with us from the scene, and we also work with film and television students and writing students who are going to graduate at the same time as us. So, we know a bunch of people who are going to be making work when we're looking to be involved with work. So there's a wonderful kind of network that you have access to, and it gives you a really broad perspective on the industry, particularly in times like this where you can't do face-to-face classes. You end up having a lot of time to talk to professionals around the world who aren't doing much work at the moment, so they have time to talk to students, which is fantastic. Really turned out great for me in a way. Yeah, the biggest thing I guess I have to say to people is just if you have a kind of work that you love doing, if you have a reason to want to go to drama school, go ahead and show them that work, and hopefully that lines up. And if it doesn't, that's completely fine as well. There will be someone else who also wants to work like you, and maybe in a year or two your work will have changed, and so will theirs. And that's about my time. But yeah, thank you for that, Cody.
No worries, Sam. Thank you so much for that perspective. I know it's just a short little snippet, a bit of an insight into your experience as a student there. A couple of things you talked. Yeah, you're talking there about the network. That is a big thing about being part of the Bachelor of Fine Arts, is that we have so many of those different disciplines all on the campus together and offer those opportunities for collaboration. So it's not just building your own network within acting, but working with the students who might also be doing music or dance or production, set design, all those. The students are actually building the networks of people that they'll then go out and work in industry with. That is a big part of what we're building, and that the students have access to as well. I know that we often get a lot of questions about, that's great, you're following your passion, where are the jobs? It's a really interesting question that I think people come into it knowing that they're going to be following their passion, building their skills and trying their best. And by having the links to industry and building these networks, they're giving themselves the best opportunity to actually go out and try some of these different opportunities out there. And what we say is that our students are actually building portfolio careers. So they're actually being able to pick up different projects and work on different things at the same time. So I'm just going to take one quick minute and ask you, Sam, you're in 3rd year at the moment. What do you see yourself doing next year?
Great question. So I on that last thing you said, actually, this is one of the other things I've realized while at VCA is just like the breadth of work that I have open to me in the immediate future. I before coming, I was like, all right, well, I guess if I'm an actor, I do a film or I do theater. But there's so much work in I'm looking to get involved in motion capture in the next 12 months or so, to do work like video games and animation. There's lots of work for actors doing things like simulations or even other forms of storytelling like Dungeons and Dragons, if you're a particularly nerdy actor like I am. But yeah, in next year after I graduate, that's my plan. A few friends and I are looking at starting a business with kind of alternative storytelling, I suppose, methods through improvisation and motion capture and nerdy fantasy D&D. Yeah, so it's very unconventional, but we're all now equipped with these skills that are so broadly applicable. So
excellent, Sam. That's great. Thank you.
no
what
problem.
I might do now is thank you for your time. Just for now, we'll move on to Ruby because I know she's waiting to have a chat with us. Ruby is a second-year Bachelor of Fine Arts Visual Arts student. Hi, Ruby. Ruby's in the drawing and printmaking stream and is currently working on developing her own unique practice, particularly in painting and drawing. So, Ruby, tell us a bit about what you've been doing.
Yeah, hi everyone who's watching, and also hello Cody. So I guess God, so much of how I'm feeling about this course has already been said, and it's kind of weird that visual arts and performing arts are making I guess so many connections yeah, to basically the environment that I definitely feel. You know, I guess like I was on a night like this when I was trying to decide what I was going to do, what pathway I was going to do, especially because visual arts has a bit of a reputation for kind of going nowhere. And so I was thinking, oh no, like what sort of university how am I going to do this really? And I remember my director now, Mark Dustin, saying that a lot of this is self-directed work. So everything that we give you is just skills to basically reflect on what you do personally, and also, I guess, yeah, your own work and building your own practice around that, and then all the different ways that could actually look. You know, it's not just about being the starving artist on the street. You know, all of these artists I interact with all the time are artists that are so multi-skilled and really push themselves, I think, to become part of multiple different industries, and always looking to advance themselves and project themselves in work, which I think is absolutely amazing and something that can be really terrifying, especially coming from year 12 when everything is so heavily structured and they tell you a lot of the work that you have to do, and there's kind of a limited amount of individual, I guess, expression that you can do. And I really felt that anyway in year 12. And coming here, and basically the objective was, oh no, we just want you to make work. And I sort of asked, oh, what on earth do I make this work about? And they just said, no, it's not, don't ask me that. Like, just make the work. Just make whatever the hell you would like to make. And I think that is amazing because even though it's terrifying, it was so inspirational because finally I got to kind of look at what I wanted to do and what I really wanted to express and what I want to say and how I can say that as well. And I guess I was thinking about this sort of, I guess, passion I feel for it now in the application process in particular, where basically they asked me, my folio looks nothing like my folio now. And they asked me, oh, you know, what do you want out of this course? And I basically said, I want to be not making any of the work that I'm making now. I want to push myself and I want to see how far I can go. And I've always thought that perhaps that was the pivotal point in my interview, just basically showing my own interest of I want this, I really, really want this, and I need it because I'm not going, I need direction and I need help and I need interaction with all these different artists that I now have interaction with. And, you know, and in our tutorials, I mean, it's crazy how much musical theatre, they have access to all the industries, and I guess so do we. We have individual tutorials with artists that are based in Melbourne, that are based all over Australia and internationally as well. And we're getting guest speakers in for our theory classes. And, you know, it's not only looking at work and learning how to critique it and discuss it, but it's also a lot of it is about hearing how these people are artists. How can you be an artist? What does that look like? And it's so many different things. I mean, I've gotten asked 100 times, you know, oh, what sort of job and what sort of money. And it's sort of about, you know, pushing yourself in all different industries and all different ways of making money. And I think like, and also expressing yourself. Is that becoming part of like a curatorial team? Or perhaps is that becoming something like this, something like marketing or PR, and using those skills and then also doing fine arts within that as well? I think it gives you so many skills, and it just gives you the skill to learn. And so much of it is about articulating how you feel, and I think really exploring yourself with that. And yeah, I think that it's not an easy thing, and I love the 9 to 5. I know that can be really daunting for some people, and I know that other universities are also doing it differently, but I love being there 5 days a week in a small class, 9 to 5, and interacting with this work all the time. I don't think I could do it without that. And even in this world now of computers, I am always interacting with people. I'm making a deliberate choice to really be there and engage within my work. And yeah, it's just amazing how that carries throughout the whole university, because, you know, everything Tyron was saying, I feel that passion from the teachers, and I am also passionate about my work as well. And they really make a point of going out of their way to help me, which I think is just amazing. Yeah.
Ruby, that was so great. Thank you. Your passion comes through when you're talking. It's so wonderful. And I think all the students who are watching now who are interested in visual art are now going to have that line during their interview where they say, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to challenge myself. But that's a good thing. That's what we're looking for, people who want to push the boundaries and learn new things. So Ruby, thank you. We'll come back to you at the end when we've got a few questions. Thanks for your time. I'd now like to introduce Derek Dwan. Derek is a third-year Bachelor of Fine Arts animation student. So this is part of the film school. We have the 3 streams, the film and TV, the screenwriting and animation. So Derek's in a small cohort of animators. He's mostly working on experimental 2D and stop motion work. And he's actually currently working on his grad film, which is a stop motion film about men's mental health, which just shows one of the many various ways that students can take their work. Derek, welcome.
Great. Hey, Derek. Hope you're doing well out there tonight. So like Cody said, I am a third-year animator from the Faculty of Film and Television, and currently we're working on our grad productions. So each year level will sort of have a individual production, and it's a very small cohort, like Cody said. There's only 9 of us in my year, which meant that everybody really bonded strongly. We're like a family now, and I feel very, very privileged to be in a class like that, where we go in and just make art, have fun, just dance around in the studio and probably stay till late. And then we even have Christmas parties together. And that's just something amazing I wasn't expecting to get out of VCA. But now I have it, I realize how great the course is. So basically, I came straight out of year 12 from Adelaide, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I looked up VCA, I looked into different options basically, and I knew I really wanted to do animation. So I sort of flew down here and met up with the lecturers who were so lovely and just took me around campus and the studios and showed me around. And you know, the more I learned about the course, the more I realized it was the course for me, because I'm really interested in animation for a starter, and I'm also really interested in experimentation and just, you know, pushing boundaries and just trying out wacky stuff, and that's never done before. And I feel like VCA was the great place to do it, and I was proven right, because all our lecturers really pushed us to pursue our own interests in different areas of animation. Because, you know, but before I came, I thought you have to be really good at drawing to be an animator, because, you know, I grew up with Disney and all that. But after I came here, I realized whatever course or faculty you're in, it's not really about the technicality of it, but rather like the way you tell the story and how passionate you are about it. And I was really drawn into telling stories, and I was told that, you know, technicality and, you know, the ways you do them doesn't matter. It's about the story you actually tell, and that's what I have developed through this course, which just was amazing. And there are a lot of collaboration opportunities, which was one of the reasons I chose VCA as well, because all those amazing faculties are on the same campus, meant that I was able to literally walk down the street and just, you know, meet up with my composers, or and turn around the corner and I meet up with the dancers I just met at a party somewhere, and, you know, we talked through possible collaborations, and it actually gets realized, and that was something I wasn't expecting either, and VCA was amazing in providing me that opportunity. So I personally am really interested in music and performance art, and I want to break into the scene and sort of do more installation, do more performance projections, that kind of stuff, which incorporate animation. And I was able to have the opportunity to even invite dancers into my course practice and make a film literally with them. And it was just, you know, being able to network with people and having them surrounding you, you know, those similar-minded people around you 24/7. That's just something that made VCA Southbank campus so great. And yeah, it just, VCA made me realize there was so much past out there, even just within the stream of animation, you know, and everything I learned was transferable, and I'm really confident, I would say, in leaving animation this year and being able to further my skills and practice in other disciplines, because it's all interdisciplinary, and I've grown so much since I've first come here. And that's something about the course, and I would love to thank VCA for helping me growing so much.
That's great, Derek. Thank you. That's exactly what we like to hear from all of our students. It's about the students being able to come in and build themselves as artists and go out and affect change in the world. So you're saying that that is what's happening for you, which is perfect. I'd like to actually now welcome back all of the panelists, and we've got a couple of questions coming through. Hi, Ruby. So just while Sam and Tyron join us, oh, there they are. Now there's a couple of questions that I can answer quickly. We had a question around deferral. So most of our courses actually can't be deferred, and this is because, particularly in performing arts, we select cohorts that will move through together. And so the academic staff will actually choose a cohort that are going to work together to be able to put on certain productions. So they are full-time, not part-time, and generally not deferral as well. We had some questions around the audition dates. So these will be tied to the Year 12 exams and results at the end of the year. So generally they're around October, but we will wait and see what they will be this year. So please just keep checking the website for those. We had a question for the panel about what is the experience like? What's taken you by surprise being a University of Melbourne student? And what is it like being on campus? So maybe I'll start with who's looking most ready. Ruby, do you have an answer to that one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I think like what is most surprising is I didn't realize how dynamic an industry I was getting into. I think so many people think that just because I do paintings doesn't mean I can't incorporate things like musical theatre. I can basically do whatever I want. And I love that because it means that I get to teach myself and network with people, as we've all kind of said, in every industry. And I think that surprised me the most. And we're so close on campus. It's kind of a shame to not really see it, because, you know, I'm right next to painting and photography, but just across from me is musical theatre. And then just across the road is, you know, all the master's students and honours. And I think that all of us, and film and television even, what am I thinking? You know, we're all so close together. And I think that that's so important, because I can hear the musical theatre students when I'm in the studio, and I love it. I think it's so great. And I think that interconnectedness, if that's a word, with all of us is so fabulous. And so surprising, because I always thought once you're a painter, you're just a painter, but that is definitely not true, at least not true now. And they're definitely pushing you for that.
Great. Sam, what's been the most unexpected or surprising part of your experience at the university?
I mean, oh goodness, there are so many surprises. But I guess in terms of the campus experience, talking about I've been astonished by in really every sense of the word the diversity that's present on campus. Not only in the people, but also the experiences you have access to, and also how self-driven the experience can be. I sort of went into it expecting a lot more of just like you go and the whole thing is curated for you, and then you go home and you get the course that's been designed for you. But that's not necessarily the way it is at all. If you have an interest in other disciplines, or you can walk across the road like Ruby was talking about, or even just speak to your teachers, and they really are there to work with you in so many ways, rather than just be a font of knowledge that disseminates things down to you. So those things are both surprised me in a very pleasant way. Yeah.
Great. We only have a couple of minutes left, so the one last question I'd like to answer, then I've got a quick one for Tyron. There's questions around how many people apply and how many people get in. So in terms of how many get in, we've spoken about them being small cohorts. For acting, theatre, music theatre, they're generally 20 students. For visual art, it's more, it's over 100 students in first year. Something like animation, we cap it at 11 students because we have 11 dedicated desks per year level. So they are fairly small cohorts. In terms of how many people apply, I always say it doesn't really matter. You put your best foot forwards, you put yourself out there, and if you've got the talent and the skill and the passion, then you're the one who's going to get through. Quick question for Tyron. Just, we keep coming back to careers, and I know you did touch on it before. We've probably got maybe 1 minute left. But what kinds of careers do you see performing arts and music theatre students heading out into? What advice do you give them about their careers?
Well, look, the interesting thing is that you look at all the people who have graduated from places like VCA and you follow them, and they end up all over the place. They end up in a lot of arts organisations. They may not end up on stage, although I have to say the majority of them do. And then they might choose other things. But look, I came out of one of these programs, and if it all fell over tomorrow and there was no more music theatre, I feel like I am capable of going into most jobs because I know how to communicate well with people. And so there are skills that go across so many other careers, and not only careers, but just enhance your life. That just people have said to me before, how do you feel about training people for a limited, sort of a narrow career path? And I firmly believe that training people in music theatre is training them to be better people, the same as any of the arts. And where that goes from, that's up to the person and can encompass anything.
Perfect. I think that's just about all we have time for tonight. I think we've given it our best crack at sharing the best parts around the Bachelor of Fine Arts. So thank you, Tyron. Thank you, Sam, Derek, and Ruby. I really appreciated what you're able to share with the audience today. Anyone who was able to submit any questions via chat and hasn't received a response from our dedicated team typing away in the background, please do submit them through the study website and we'll make sure we get a response to you as soon as we can. So thank you all for attending this webinar, and hopefully we'll see you applying soon.